Warriors, let's get to it. I want to have a very important conversation with you. February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. I also like to add into that Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. I want to really talk about this because I noticed that this year nobody's really talking about it. I know we're overwhelmed. I know a lot is going on, but you know what? This is something that is so shocking and so prevalent, and something that if we don't discuss with our children, that violence is not allowed, is not acceptable under any circumstances. Well, I just don't know, warriors. So let's get to this. I want to provide you with a couple of facts. First of all, Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. I will direct you to the best website, I think, right now, where you can get a lot more information, facts, helpful phone numbers, also a 24/7, 365 days a year interactive chat where you can just talk to somebody, where you can just ask questions. So why wouldn't you take advantage of this free, great resource? And that website is loveisrespect.org. Did you hear me, warriors? Loveisrespect.org. Also, go to the hotline.org, because there is a teen dating violence awareness hotline, and you'll find all that information, the hotline.org. So let's really talk about this. I want to keep this at the forefront because for a variety of reasons, and I don't have to sit here and list them all out to you because you know what the reasons are. One, violence is never acceptable. Two, this just perpetuates itself. These children grow up and repeat these behaviors. We have all kinds of studies that prove all of this, and you'll see all of that. Go to loveisrespect.org. But let me give you a couple of facts. First of all, 1 in 3 young people will be in an abusive or unhealthy relationship. The trick to all of this, the tricky part of all of this is kids, adults too, but let's focus on the kids. Kids, teens don't even understand the indicators of abuse. They don't know what it looks like. So we have to teach them, or we have to direct them to resources, because if you don't know what something is, how can you solve it or get away from it? So that's 1 in 3 young people are in an unhealthy relationship. 33%, listen to this one, warriors, 33% of adolescents in America are victims to sexual, physical, verbal, or emotional dating abuse. 33%. Violent behavior often begins between 6th and 12th grades. 72% of 13 and 14-year-olds are dating. 6th and 12th grades, can you imagine? 72% of 13 and 14-year-olds are dating. Next, teens who suffer dating abuse are subject to long-term consequences like alcoholism, eating disorders, promiscuity, thoughts of suicide, and violent behavior. Just shocking. Next, roughly 1.5 million high school boys and girls in the U.S. admit to being intentionally hit or physically harmed in the last year by someone they are romantically involved with. Are you hearing this, warriors? And lastly, teens who have been abused hesitate to seek help because they do not want to expose themselves. They're embarrassed. And also, they don't understand that this is a form of domestic violence, sexual abuse, bullying, emotional abuse, all of this. Now, we know during the pandemic in the last 2 years that most kids, as we did, all went online for work and school. So all of these behaviors are only escalating. And it's shocking. And nobody's talking about it. You know what? And to be a little crass about it also, let's put the business end of it. Do you know how many trillions of dollars that all of this mental health abuse is going to cost the healthcare system, the government, the individual families? Nobody ever talks about it. Nobody's ever putting that price tag, or as we like to say, look, the bottom line is always money and follow the money, but nobody ever talks about the costs of the medical and the ongoing services for all of these victims and survivors. So we must start young, and we must ingrain in our children this is unacceptable behaviors. And since they're not learning these things, apparently, in schools these days, or, we cannot leave it up to anybody else. And we know kids get a lot of information online, and we know kids get a lot of information from their peers. We must intercept. We must create that base at home, lay that foundation with facts and truths. And that's what that's what we're all about. We cannot have, this is nationwide. Youth ages 12 to 19 experience the highest rates of rape and sexual assault. Studies show that approximately 10% of adolescents report being the victim of physical violence. And we also know, and I didn't mention it, but I'll mention it now, that, this also leads all of this of vulnerability, perhaps to being a victim of human trafficking, of any form of sexual exploitation, increased drug use. And what's going on here? There is no help. So again, the schools aren't stepping in to help parents. The government is not stepping in, it seems. Yes, there's lots of talk and chatter, a lot of programs going on, but you're going to have to search out this information for yourselves. And you're going to have to educate yourselves, and you're going to have to share this within your own homes and communities. Please share it with your friends, family members, because what is going on here? Yesterday, I don't know when you're watching this, but today's February 9th. Yesterday, February 8th, was Safer Internet Day. It's 2022, and it is time for us to step up. I kid you not, become a warrior and take action, because that's actually what I did. I sat up in bed one day and said, I must become a warrior. I cannot stand by on the sidelines and allow this horror to go on that I'm seeing, that I'm hearing about, that is increasing within communities and across the United States. It's my job as a warrior to spread information and share resources. I cannot. Safer Internet Day. And that was in the United States and across the globe. And that's raising issues of let's create a safer internet. Well, warriors, we do have some good news. The Earn It Act is hitting the floor tomorrow, Thursday, February 10th, the floor of Congress, for what they call markup. Now, markup is where they can amend the bill, where they can debate the bill, discuss the bill. If you've been following me, you've heard me talk long and hard about the Earn It Act. It is a bipartisan bill. The bottom line to the Earn It Act is the safety of our children. If you hear anything else, I am telling you right now and right here, the warriors would not be involved in supporting this bipartisan bill if it was not strictly about the safety of our children. We have 20 co-sponsors, which is tremendous, on the floor. We have 258 organizations across the United States, including 61 survivor-led organizations supporting this bill. It is strictly bipartisan. Again, warriors, safety of our children. It will hold big tech accountable for CSAM, child sexual abuse material that is rampant and escalating on every single platform that all of us use and all of our children use. Why should big tech be allowed to harm our children? Remember, we're talking children. The arguments being it will take away our privacy online, by the opponents. I'll call them the opponents. It will undermine encryption. Those are outright bold-faced lies, warriors. This has nothing to do with any of that. It strictly removes the immunity. We have 3 points of big tech not suffering any consequences if they don't voluntarily take down this child sexual abuse material. Then they'll have to face a commission of 19 people. And those 19 people are made up of survivors, organizations such as Lynn's Warriors working to end human trafficking, law enforcement, privacy experts, tech experts. Yes, the tech The tech industry is included in all of this. And this commission of 19 people will come together and decide the best practice, the best way for this particular CSAM to come off of a platform if the platform itself does not step up to take it down. Remember, these are crimes against children. This has nothing to do with your privacy. It is simply to take down the unbelievable and escalating amounts of images that are online. Profit. They're making a lot of money off our children's backs. And also it changes the term child pornography, which for some reason doesn't really capture the essence of CSAM, child sexual abuse material. That describes it better. So no longer child pornography, it is called CSAM, and allows victims, survivors to take legal action should a platform not take down their material. We heard there was a congressional briefing yesterday, and we heard from, we call her Jane Doe, and I've heard her speak before in some of our coalition work, and her 13-year-old son, fast forward, thought he was talking with a 16-year-old girl and exchanged images. And when he was 16, it was brought to his attention that these images were all over online and uploaded, and people in his school were sharing them a couple of years later. And until a classmate, the classmate's mother contacted this boy's mother to say this boy was online talking about suicide and killing himself. And the mother had not a clue, not an idea. Thank goodness she was warned. She worked long and hard to get those images taken down. Big tech would not take them down. They were on Twitter. They didn't know what to do. Obviously, that's why the warriors, I'm always talking about, have an action plan. Put your phone numbers and websites in a safe place. Refer to them. This is the world we live in now. This is not, if something happens, should something happen. Most likely, something along the line somewhere will happen, or you will have to address with your children, because we now live in a 24/7 digital online world, whatever you want to call it. And it's only getting worse with Web 3.0 coming, and also the metaverses, but we'll leave that for now. So I want to stick with that. This mom finally, in her despair, didn't know what to do. Chaos ensued. Her church, her pastor, happened to know somebody in Homeland Security, and he was able to help her. And even with Homeland Security, it took 9 days. Twitter, they wrote to Twitter, they contacted Twitter. Warriors, how these platforms are. I had an issue with Instagram recently, and I don't know what I posted, but I contacted them. I uploaded the screenshots that my content was, harmful to the community. Well, warriors, go on my Instagram and you see what I post. I don't think so. So finally, after 9 days, Homeland Security got the images taken down, but they're suing Twitter. Twitter did notify them at one point and tell them, we don't consider these images harmful to our community. I don't want to be graphic, but these graphic images of this 13-year-old, what's Twitter thinking? What are any of these platforms thinking? So you know what? It's time for them to have a little bit of a retooling. It's about kids safety. Again, this is a bipartisan bill, the Earn It Act 2022. It is co-sponsored by Senators Richard Blumenthal and also Lindsey Graham. And we are going to get this passed, and we are going to help our kids stay safe online. But I want to remind you that all of these stats I gave you about teen dating violence, I know the internet plays into it. I know the kids are learning things online. They're seeing things online. Why, you can buy drugs with 2 clicks online. There's so much going on. We have to protect our children. We have to come together on this. I am so adamant about, we talk about the issues. There's no embarrassment. There's no hiding anything. I want all of us to think very grassroots. Think about your own home, think about your community. And I know we can have great success if we think of it that way. As a matter of fact, I did my radio program today, The Warriors on WVOX, and I had a wonderful guest, Dr. Shobana Powell. So I'm recommending, I have to put the interview up, I haven't done that yet, to listen to this interview. And Shobana Powell has so many credits, and she's such a wonderful, what she does. Okay, one of the tenets of the Warriors is that, of course, education, of course, open communication, and also that we put forth the survivor voice front and center, because I can't do my work unless I know what they've gone through, what their needs are. And let me tell you, Warriors, the needs of a victim of sexual exploitation, the needs of a human trafficking, this is ongoing. This is basically lifelong. There's rarely a person I have met, I can't think of any, who don't need, they have a good day, a bad day, who need ongoing medical, psychological, every type of resource available. So why isn't our country talking about our citizens and all of this? So Dr. Powell, and she started a wonderful company just a year ago, Shobana Powell Consulting.com, and that is SHOBANAPOWELL Consulting.com, where she would take that survivor voice, that survivor experience, and she would create a framework to have this inclusion of the survivor. Because, like I always thought, how can I teach? How can I educate unless I know about this true survivor experience? And also, she pointed out that a lot of survivors are re-traumatized, and organizations don't even mean to do it, but they might invite somebody to speak, or they've not, so they're not understanding the medical and the psychological. So Dr. Powell put together this consulting company. She can come to, like the Warriors, other organizations, teach them, train them. And she has survivor consultants, which is very important. And we have to come together, all the human trafficking organizations, sexual exploitation survivors, and make it very holistic, very truthful, and very understanding, And she pointed out a good fact, it's not people are doing things on purpose. They just don't know. It's time to, and it's so overwhelming, all of this, all of us to come together and to have a framework. And she created a framework for equity, survivor equity and inclusion in all of the work we do. So I'm very anxious to move forward and work more with Dr. Powell and the survivors and spread the word about Shobana Powell Consulting. So I want all of you to think about teen dating violence. Couple of facts. Let's review. 1 in 3 report violence, abuse in their relationships. A lot of this leads to adult behaviors, repeating the violence, drug abuse, alcoholism, eating disorders. So I think you get the picture. 150 kids are reporting. Is that what I told you? I think it is. Across the United States are reporting some sort of violence in their relationships. And it's up to us to raise awareness and to teach the kids that we can't have this. So again, I want to recommend loveisrespect.org for more information about teen dating violence. I also want to recommend thehotline.org, phone number, hotline 24/7 to talk about 365 days a year, interactive chat where you can learn more. I want all of you, I have one take action. Oh, we'll have a lot of take actions for you, but I want to keep it simple for you tonight because I know you're all tired and overwhelmed with all of this. Earn it. Going to the floor. We need it to be passed. We cannot give up one moment. If you go to linswarriors.org under news and events, you will read our statement of support for the Earn It Act, eliminating abusive, rampant neglect of interactive Technologies Act of 2022. You will go to the bottom of this. You will see a take action. We need all of you. The take action is ijm.org. You'll see that on the bottom. And you will go to that website You'll click on that and it will direct you. You'll fill in your name and your zip code and you'll hit send, and it will go to wherever you live with your zip code, your elected representatives. We need to keep after them when it goes to vote tomorrow. They must step up. It is the safety of our children. It is about nothing else. Big tech would like you to believe otherwise. I even heard some things were circulating from big tech companies calling for everyone to come together, that this will disrupt your business. This has nothing to do with business. This has to do with the safety of our precious children and grandchildren. And we're not going to take it anymore. So if you could help with, doing that, take action by going to linswarriors.org under news and events, reading more about Earn It, specifically what it, 3 points, what it is, 3 points, what it is not, because the big tech lobbyists are hard at work trying to discredit this act. I'm here in New York. I've had very little help. My representatives will not help me, will not meet with me. So it's up to you out there to get to your representatives, although I keep up with everybody here, that I'm represented by Chuck Schumer and Jerry Nadler and Kristen Gillibrand and Carolyn Maloney. I'm after them. I will be after them all night, tweeting at them, contacting them. So warriors, that's your homework for tonight and tomorrow. I would say this goes, well, it goes to the floor early. I would say 10 o'clock in the morning. Now it's the evening, Wednesday evening. So I'm going to beg all of you to take action on this one. And I also am going to repeat myself and urge you to talk to the kids. It's never too young. Did you hear me say 12 and 13-year-olds dating? That's young. So with that, you've got your assignments, warriors. We can do this. Let us all come together. Don't forget linswarriors.org. Also follow me on Twitter and Facebook at linswarriors. Take action. Be part of the solution and always be a warrior.